What's up, y'all? My name is Noah Michael Diaz Munoz, aka Noja, and I wanted to come on here to basically start, I had this idea for, I guess, a podcast sort of type of video where I just talked about kind of different experiences in my life, and I wanted to call it Noah's Arcs, because I was thinking the other day about all the different arcs that I've gone through, like a TV show character, like TV arcs, and I wanted to kind of just share my experiences, and I thought Noah's Arcs was kind of funny. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll do another one of these, but I have ideas, definitely have ideas, but I'll say, just listen to this. I don't know if this is going to take off. I don't know if I'm going to continue doing this. Like I said, I don't know. For today's arc that I wanted to talk about my arc of how I found my confidence within myself. Buckle up. This isn't going to be heavily visual. It's going to be kind of more like a podcast sort of format. So grab a snack, put this on while you're doing your laundry, the dishes, whatever. And just chill with me as I explain parts of my life. So growing up, I was heavily bullied. I grew up in a predominantly Hispanic community, and being different in said community isn't very easy. The schools that I went to, people liked me, but a lot of people also didn't like me, which was really confusing growing up. I got bullied a lot. Yeah, it was always the older boys. Sometimes I had beef with girls. Also had a lot of beef with certain girls growing up. But it was a lot of the times just the older boys had an issue with me because I was different, because I wasn't as masculine or whatever, or however. But I don't know if anybody really talks about how getting bullied at such a young age. I started getting bullied around 7 years old, and then it kind of hit a peak when I was right before middle school. I don't think anybody ever really talks about how much that fucks up your brain when you're a kid. I actually did a paper about this in my developmental psychology class for college, and it was about, can adults who experience bullying essentially reverse those effects, or grow from it, or I guess kind of resolve that trauma within them. And I guess that's part of what I wanted to talk about today, and where I'm at with that. Yeah, growing up getting really heavily bullied wasn't easy at all, because again, you had people who liked me, a lot of people, because I had an older sister who I always went to school with. A lot of my sister's older friends, they liked me, they thought I was cool. A lot of people in my own grade, they really liked me, they thought I was cool. But it was always the older boys that had an issue with me. I was always just a very shy kid, just to begin with. Also, it's hard to navigate social situations when you're just being yourself and people are having an issue with that. I could be loud, I could be rambunctious, I could be a little bit random, but I was a kid, kids, that's just how kids are. Being queer also didn't help. So I kind of grew up feeling like all eyes were on me for some reason. All eyes were always just everybody's gonna look at you. Everybody, but in a negative way, everybody's looking at you and they all fucking hate you. That sort of mentality started to grow within my mind, because I saw the reaction people had to me just being myself. And if me being myself was a problem for people, all I wanted to be was liked and accepted, as anybody, as it's a very human kind of thing. But all I wanted was just to be loved and accepted and liked by people. And again, I was, but then I also wasn't. And that created a lot of confusion and these complexes in my head. Or circling back to being queer, I had come out, which this could maybe be another episode, but I had come out, or I always knew I was different. I always kind of knew I had this attraction towards men or boys at the time, and I didn't know how to really feel it or talk about it. And then people constantly telling me, "You're gay, you're gay, you're gay," like, was like, oh, well, people saying that in like such a negative context was also didn't help with like the confidence aspect, because it was just like, well, if I'm just being myself and people think I'm gay, then like, I don't know, like, I'm just being myself, like, let me be. So I came out in 6th grade to myself. Like, I accepted my sexuality in 6th grade for the first time, because I had this crush on this boy, and it was stupid, but, and that kind of made me realize, like, oh, I do like boys, but then I also still liked girls at the time, so it was weird. Anyways, flash forward to high school. I went to an all boys Catholic high school, and if you're from San Diego, and you're in that kind of like that, I don't know, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. If you don't know, don't worry about it. But I went to an all boys Catholic high school, and I remember the summer going into high school, I just was so afraid. And I remember telling myself, I was like, I don't want to like boys anymore. I feel like I'm not going to fit in if I continue to be like this. So I forced my sexuality away in order to fit in order to be accepted. Flash forward to 2020 in the pandemic, my junior year of high school. This is so stupid. I was just seeing all of these random attractive men on my TikTok For You page, and I was like, there's no more denying it. Like, because during the years of freshman year up until junior year of high school, I was hiding my sexuality, to myself at least, decently well. I don't know, people would be like, oh, the closet was glass, we knew, blah, 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 blah. But it's just like, that's a whole other thing that I have an issue with when people say shit like that, but that's for another time. I just feel like I felt like I couldn't stop this, like, from myself. Like, I couldn't stop myself from feeling this way. So it's like, fuck it, I like guys, I'm gay. Or at the time I came out as bi, because that's what I believed, and that's a whole other thing that we can get into. But before that, junior year of high school, I started to become more confident. Junior year is when I started to actually feel like a teenager, instead of just like a big kid. I genuinely did not feel like a teenager until I was like 16 and a half, 17 years old. Like, that's when I felt like a teenager. The years 14, 15, 16, that was not my teen years. That was just me being a big kid, like an older kid or pubescent kid. Like, I did not consider that my teenage years until like very late into being 16 and turning 17. So, during that time I was in sports. I was being a little more masculine. I like being masculine. I think the lighting might be shit once I color grade it. Let me change this around. I'm filming in my sister's bedroom because my family is out of town and my sister is out with her fiance, so I get the whole house to myself with the dogs. Where was I? Junior year of high school. I was on the cross country team. I was running. I was getting closer with my guy friends, with my brothers, with like just becoming like more confident within myself. And like genuinely, like, high school changed me. I was very feminine when I was younger, very feminine, very flamboyant, and I knew that high school would change me, and I'm very grateful that it did, because I like who I grew into to a certain extent. But I don't miss high school whatsoever. Like, I do miss, I guess, like the innocence and like the bliss of it. I don't miss, or I guess also missing like being with my friends 24/7. But I don't miss high school at all. Like, but I am very grateful for the lessons that I've learned, such as like, or just the experiences that I had, such as like growing more into confidence. I remember freshman year of high school. This is also I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but it'll be streamlined soon, I hope. I don't know, but freshman year of high school, we were in PE, and I had always had body issues, like with myself, especially in high school. Getting exposed to a lot of different boys, like in the locker rooms for the PE, getting exposed to the locker rooms and like seeing other boys' bodies being either more developed than mine or more muscular, just different than mine, gave me a lot of like, I feel like shit. And also, just, I was always, as a kid, I was always comparing myself to like full grown men, like full grown adults. And that wasn't fair for me to do that to myself. But I saw how boys at school got treated by the girls I was friends with when they thought that they were attractive. And I wanted to be treated like that, which kind of goes back into like acceptance. Like, people will accept you if you're pretty. People will accept you if you're hot, or like if they think you're attractive or whatever, they're more likely to accept you. So it's just like, oh, if I could be like that, then people will accept me more. But me being a kid, you're a kid. Isn't it crazy how children look like children? Like, that's Dance Mom's reference. But like, I compared myself to full grown men, and it gave me more complexes because all I wanted was just to be accepted. But anyways, freshman year, high school, it was like something out of a movie. We were at PE, and one of the coaches, he was like, not the main coach, but one of the coaches was like, all right. He points to one side of the class, shirts, the other side of the class, skins. And I was on the skin side. I was like, I know you're not fucking talking to me. And then he's like, let's go. I'm like, I'm not actually, like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, what the, like, I'm not, so like, no, I'm just gonna sneak over to this shirt side. Like, no, I had to take my shirt off. And a part of me was very embarrassed, but also a part of me was very relieved. And this was way before I started going to the gym. But there was this like freedom within me that I felt having taken my shirt off for PE. And I kind of liked it. Like, despite all the other guys, like, and the differences like in our bodies or whatever, I kind of liked, that freedom that it gave me. But flash forward to junior year, I was athletic, getting closer with my guy friends, going to the gym at school, like for cross country, because we would lift weights here and there. I was getting a little bit of muscle. I was very fit. I think I still kind of consider this like the most fit that I had ever looked in my life, like as a teenager, or as like so far. And to me, I don't know, it's just, I was starting to wear like tighter shirts, and like I could feel like my chest getting a little bit bigger, and like my arms getting a little bit bigger, and like I liked that, and that gave me a little bit more confidence. And like I also kind of had a glow up around this time, which is kind of fucking stupid to like admit to, but I could tell, like, even my other friends, like, we were all growing up, we were getting older, we were maturing a little bit more, and we were coming into who we were. I got my braces off. I started wearing contacts more often. Being close to varsity on cross country gave me like this confidence because I was at the top of my game. like as like that time, it was and I was very happy back then too. Like, even though I hadn't come out yet, I was still pushing my sexuality away. I was more just happy with my enjoyment of life. I was really much enjoying life during that time. And then COVID hit, and I just couldn't deny my sexuality anymore. So then senior year of high school started, and I was like, you know what? Eventually I'm going to come out to my family, to more of my friends, and whether or not they're going to accept me, that's up to God. That's that's in God's hands. But I started getting a little bit more confident. And I think partially it's because, like, we were home for so long, and, like, I didn't have to face anybody, like, face to face. So I was able to, like, very much speak freely about what I believed in. especially with everything that was going on during that time politically. And a lot of people who I was friends with or knew at the time weren't very much on the same page. Like, we weren't on the same wavelength about things. And I felt the confidence in myself to be like, you know what, fuck what everybody else thinks. I'm going to post what I believe in, what I stand for, what I believe is right. But I think it was easy because we were all home and like I didn't have to face anybody and like try to defend my beliefs. We were all behind screens. So senior year of high school starts late 2021 or late 2020, sorry. Late 2020 senior year. And my confidence was okay. Like, it was just like, I'm a senior. Like, yeah, like, hell yeah, I'm a senior. We're gonna get back to school, like back, because our school, we were like hybrid for a while. We had like a couple days online or like a day or two online, and then we made a way to work, which kind of was like bullshit, but I don't know, it was a whole thing. And I felt more secure within like my beliefs. I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna be queer and I'm gonna be here, and like people are just gonna have to deal with it. Though again, I didn't outwardly come out until second semester of senior year. But like, you have to understand, in high school, I feel like people don't care. Like, people care about, like, at least back when I was in high school, people would care about, oh, you're gay? Like, whoa, if like freshman, sophomore year. By the time you were in like junior year and like senior year, nobody cared. Nobody gave a fuck. Even at my all boys Catholic high school, nobody cared. It's not the people, like, nobody was bothered by that. Like, so, but I was being brave enough to still be myself. And then I came out to my friends. I came out to the school in a speech that I made for a retreat. And I think just being like a retreat leader, because I was very heavily involved with like retreat leading and like all of this different stuff, being heavily involved in that was a confidence boost for sure, because I liked leadership. I liked being in positions of leadership. I liked being in charge. I liked being somebody who people could look up to. So that really boosted my confidence a little bit. So I was at a certain point, but there were still a lot of things that I was struggling with, like whether it was my confidence, whether it was not. The good thing about 2020 is that's when I started going to therapy, which, yes, therapy, thank you, yes, therapy. If you don't go to therapy, I just highly suggest it. It has helped me. I've been fortunate enough to go to therapy for the past 6 years, and like it's been on and off, but like it's helped a lot within growing my confidence. And something that my therapist always says is like, you've just got to be unapologetically yourself, Noah. You just always have to be unapologetically Noah. And I'll get to that in a little bit. So yeah, in these moments of like coming out and like my friends just straight up accepting me, like I don't know what I was so worried about, but of course before you come out, you're very worried about everything. But yeah, that was a big confidence boost. And then just the end of high school too. Like I was so ready to leave high school, but I wasn't ready to like leave my friends and like leave the life that I had known. By the end of high school, I was just like super confident. Not super confident, but like decently confident enough. Like I felt a little bit more secure in my body. I accepted my body a little bit more. There were still things that I wanted to improve on, but I accepted my body more. I just felt more secure, a little bit more secure in myself. And I felt like I wasn't trying to hide myself to please other people as much. Freshman, sophomore year, I very much had this weird, like, hiding parts of my personality to, like, my friends to make sure that, like, what happens if, like, I show them too much of the real me and, like, they're not gonna like it and, like, they're gonna think I'm weird. Well, honestly, if people don't like who you are, like, if your friends aren't gonna accept you for who you are, maybe they weren't meant to stick around that long. Maybe they weren't friends worth keeping. And the friends that I came out to are, at least I still talk to most of them who I came out to. Some of them we've just drifted apart because of time and going to college and everything, but the people who I've come out to, my high school friends at least, are my brothers. And they are the ones, though they fucking piss me off. I love them, but they fucking piss me off sometimes. They're the ones worth keeping. You know, they're an example of people worth keeping in your life because they accept you and for who you are. all of the different phases and changes, and believe me, they've seen a lot. We've all seen a lot of each other. But yeah, if you guys are watching, love y'all. That was a lesson that I learned, and then I went to college. And when I went to college, my small little liberal arts college in LA, I didn't go to USC, I didn't go to UCLA, I didn't go to LMU, I didn't go to any of the big colleges. I went to a small little rinky-dink college in Burbank, California, with all the movie studios around there. Getting away from home changed the game. Like, changes the game. Hold on. Changes the game. That taught me a lot about independence and confidence within my own independence. The thing is, with that, when I went to college, I was kind of showing this version of myself that was going to please the most amount of people. And when I've had this new friend group in college, I was a little overly nice, to where even they would be like, no, you're too nice. Like, you're doing a little too much. Like, it was exciting to make new friends, but it was also just like a little unnerving to be like, oh shit, like I need to impress people. And then I got a little bit of attention from some guys at school, a little bit older guys, and me, I was like, whoa, guys, I just came out like this year, like please, like it was a lot to handle, but it was an ego boost for sure. Fast forwarding, I got onto dating apps, and boots, that's my ego boost. Like, holy shit, the amount of I'm not trying to like say this to be like, oh my god, I'm like so pretty, like everybody just wants me. Like, no, relax, hold your horses. But a lot of men were in my matches. Like, I was matching with a lot of people, a lot of guys being like, hey cutie, what's up cutie? And I fucking hate being called cutie, but that's for another time. But it was a huge ego boost. It was a really big ego boost. And it was like, oh, so maybe I'm not as chopped and ugly as I thought I was. Yeah, and then I got into a relationship. I got into my first ever gay relationship, and that was a whole other thing about my confidence. He ended up getting caught messaging this guy who he had hooked up with before he and I were together. I feel like the lighting is gonna get really bad. I should probably bust out a light. But he ended up getting caught from a friend of a friend messaging a guy that he had hooked up with before he and I were together. And when I went to go check out who this guy was, like, I just was completely shattered, because the way that I compared myself to him, he was like 10 times more attractive than I thought I could ever be. And that really sucked, and it really hurt the way that I viewed myself like that. Just always. Here's another thing. I compared myself so much in my life to other people, whether it was just whatever superficial bullshit. I always compared myself so much to other people, and comparison is the thief of joy. I know, like, you've probably seen it on TikTok, you've probably seen it on Instagram, whatever, but like, it is genuinely true. When you constantly compare yourself to other people, it just takes the joy out of what you have. It just completely takes it out. Hold that thought. I spent so much of my life hating myself because I didn't have what other people had. And it was either social media or real life, and just seeing what other people had and wanting that for myself. It just was a huge killer of my joy. And like, comparing myself to that guy that my first ex-boyfriend was caught messaging, just like, I didn't have a belief in myself, kind of. Like, if you don't believe in yourself that you can achieve something, even if it doesn't have to even be what other people have. Like, if somebody is making 6 figures and has a yacht or whatever, it doesn't even have to be like, I believe I can do that. It's just, I believe I can step up, work hard, and earn what I work for, or earn something big that I have worked hard for. Like, if you have that belief in yourself, then, you know, you're set. Like, not you're set 100%, but like, once you have a belief in yourself and that confidence and the audacity to pursue that, to pursue whatever it might be, then like, yeah, you know, it's a lot better than comparing yourself and whining about it. That was also another thing, kind of within like the circling back to like the body aspect of it. I always compared my body to other guys, whether it was like online or like through dating apps or whatever bullshit. I always compared myself to guys. There's a thing about like body acceptance versus like body like neutrality, or like body positivity versus like body neutrality. For me, I was like more body neutral, but to a certain point, I just kind of went back to like, I can't stand this shit. Like, I hate my body. But yeah, like I compared my body to that guy's, and I just felt so sad and like shattered. And I didn't really need to compare it to him, but it took a huge dig at my confidence. But yeah, then where am I even going with this? This is why I don't know if this whole thing is gonna last. I just ramble. I just be saying shit. I guess this is all just kind of backstory. Where I am now with my confidence is like a lot more than what I used to be. And I'm very happy about that. And I'm very proud of myself. Part of the reason why is because I feel like my self-worth is so much more than just like superficial bullshit that I was comparing myself to, or like that I was trying to measure up to. Part of what set me on this journey of like confidence, I guess sometimes, yes, it's external stuff like men complimenting me, even though now I'm at a point where I don't need a man to compliment me to make me feel good. Yeah, external validation is nice, but it's also like internal validation. Like, you have to be okay with yourself in order to grow your confidence, I say. It's also just exposure. Exposure therapy is a very big thing. Working a job, customer service especially, like working and being exposed to other people drives up your confidence more, because you have to step up. You have to present yourself, and you're forced to interact with other people. If you are sitting at home, just bed rotting, not interacting with other people, of course that gains way for insecurity, because you're not interacting with the world. You have to interact with the world in order to grow your confidence also. I feel, at least that's how I was. When I got my first job at SeaWorld, I worked at SeaWorld, not for SeaWorld. I was a contractor for the Carnival Games. Different company. Don't try to come for me. Do not try to come for me. Because every time people are like, you worked at SeaWorld, you animal abuser. Yeah, because like, of course, I was running the Carnival Games. Of course, I was the one beating the dolphins. Like, come on. Please stop. Like, but when I got my first job at SeaWorld, I was a game operator. So I did the Carnival Games. I had to not heckle people, but just get people to like come play the games. Like, you sir, like you come play this game, like you can win a prize, or like come on down, we got fabulous deals. And I never say fabulous, because if I said fabulous, it'd probably get my ass beat. That was another thing. I don't know, which I'll get to because that reminded me of something. When I had my job, I had to present myself to the world, to guests, to people, a lot of different people. Some people were very nice, some people were fucking assholes. Having a job exposes you to that. Like, and I know it's probably like, well, Noah, I've been working since I was like 16, like blah, blah, blah. Like, what are you talking about? Like, obviously I know that, like, yes, but at the same time, some other people haven't worked a day in their life, and that was me for a little bit, because I was focusing on school. I didn't have a job until going into my junior year of college, which, like, yes, there's a certain place of privilege like that. I acknowledge that. But I wanted a job. I wanted to work, and I was able to work, and that taught me a lot because I had to deal with mean people, drunk people, happy people, okay people, whatever people who didn't speak English. I had to flex my Spanish skills, which was also like a big like confidence boost, because sometimes you could take like 4 parties in a row, 4 parties at your station, if you were like, whoa, like you're about to do that. And sometimes this one time I remember specifically, I was taking 4. I was at the basketball hoops. By the way, they're kind of rigged, I will say that, which more I can talk about that later. But anyways, the basketball hoops, there's like 4 hoops, so you can have 4 parties going at once. I had to do 4 parties that did not speak English. They all spoke Spanish, and I had to flex my Spanish skills. Like, okay, yes, like, but that was also a big confidence boost because it showed me that I could do that. Another thing of like, you need to go out in the world and do stuff. And whether it's a job, whether it's exposure therapy, whether it's doing shit by yourself, you need to go out and do stuff in order to gain your confidence, because you have to show yourself that you can do it. You will do it. Like, you can do it. You have done it, and you'll do it again. That to me is a big thing. And I'll kind of circle back to that in a later thing. But to me, like, okay, I know how to speak Spanish to a certain extent. ¿Cuántos años tienes? But I know how to speak Spanish. I can speak Spanish. I will speak Spanish. I have spoken Spanish, and I'll do it again. Like, that to me is a big, like, that's like part of my philosophy. Having that job really helped boost my confidence, because it's like I had done public speaking in the past. Kind of circling back to middle school, elementary school, like I would go out for student council, and that was a big confidence boost. I had to speak in front of the whole class, whole school. I was often doing speeches for like little dinners or like galas or like gala for like the school or whatever. Like I would do speeches. I did the farewell speech for my middle school graduation. Like I was doing stuff. Like I was putting myself out there. Again, you have to put yourself out there in order to gain confidence. And even if people laugh, even if people think, oh, he looks weird or like whatever, like let them. I've wasted so much of my life just trying to control what other people have thought of me. And to be honest, you can't. You genuinely cannot. As long as you know who you are yourself and you're not doing any harm to other people, let people think whatever they want. Let them. Like, you can't kill yourself over trying to control a narrative. So you just have to let go of that control. Where was I going with that? Confidence, public speaking. Oh yeah, so having the job at SeaWorld, I was public speaking a lot, having to present myself out there, which was a good thing. And like I was still a little shy, you know, whatever. But at the job, this is why I said, like, if I said fabulous, I'd probably get my ass beat. At the job, predominantly, like it was like a flashback to middle school. Predominantly Hispanic. The men were very masculine, which is funny because, like, bro, you're wearing a SeaWorld hat and polyester SeaWorld polo trying to get people to play games. You think you're tough shit? like genuinely, like, come on. But yeah, the guys were very masculine and we were all like around the same age. Like I kind of hid myself away from like my like real self. Like I'd code switch basically, is like to feel safe, because I didn't want to be kind of my regular self, because I didn't want them to think like, yo, who the fuck is this guy? Like, whatever. But again, I had that confidence, but another thing was lacking, you know? The lacking was like being unapologetically myself. Until I was in a relationship during the time where I got this job, and this one guy was like talking about like whatever, some girl, like his girl problems. He's like, you got a girl, Noah? I was like, nah, I got a man. And he was like, oh, that's funny. And then I wasn't laughing. He was like, you serious? I'm like, yeah. Like I'm dating a man, like I'm gay. And he was like, hey, okay, that's what's up. Like, obviously, I don't know what was going through his head. It doesn't really matter. But, like, that, and, like, him's, like, still being chill with me. This was, like, one of my coworkers at the time. Him still being chill with me, even after knowing I was gay, I was like, okay. Like, maybe it's a little, maybe y'all are okay with gay people. Like, I don't know. I like, hid myself away to feel safe. And then when I finally was like, no, I'm gay, like I have a man at the time, and him still being like chill with me, and like that group of like coworkers still being chill with me, that was pretty cool. It was like something very healing to like the inner to the inner child. But yeah, having that job taught me a lot about like my own confidence, like helped build my confidence back up. Part of what gained my confidence was like, I used to be so negative all the time. And again, I'm saying this a lot about like this phrase of like I've wasted so many years of my life, because I did. Like I feel like, well, maybe not, none of that was a waste per se, but it was more so just like I worried so much about what other people thought of me, whether it was my looks, my voice, the way that I presented myself, what I was doing. I focused so much of my time and my energy that it just was like so exhausting. Being a teenager was already so exhausting as it was, and comparing myself, like add that to like you have, I don't know how I was doing it when I was a teenager. Being at school by 7 a.m. You had 6 classes most of the time. Then you had sports afterwards. Come home, eat, shower, do homework, be in bed by 10 p.m. and then wake up by 6 a.m. to do it all again. Like God's strongest warrior. I had no idea how I did that. As I like wake up at 11 on my days off, like 11, 12 out of bed on my days off. Can't even like run a mile anymore. Haven't done that in years. Being a teenager was hard enough with all of that happening. Add constantly thinking about what other people are thinking about you onto that. I guess that's like regular teenage stuff. But like for me, I felt like I was the only one doing that. I felt like everybody else was so much more secure in themselves and didn't care as much. I wasted so much of my time, my energy on being negative about myself. Oh, like I'm so stupid. Like it's like, I don't know. It was also very much like in this like era of like the late 2010s sort of internet humor, like self-deprecating humor, like Shane Dawson, like he sees a trash can, he's like, OMG me, which yes, I used to be a Shane Dawson fan. It was, I was watching things on the internet as a very young child. It's like a 10-year-old that I should not have been. Shane Dawson was one of them. So it was like very much in like that era of like the late 2010s of like self-deprecating humor was like the peak of like everybody was doing that. And I was obviously participating in it too. So like that was that. I also just didn't have this belief in myself that I could do really anything. Or I also had this belief like I was just a burden, I was a problem. And a lot of these things are like, those are like mental health things that I had to work through in therapy. It's not just like, just love yourself, like believe in yourself. I don't want people to come at this and take away like, love yourself, like that scene from Euphoria where all the girls are clouding around Kat, like love yourself. Like, no, it's not easy to love yourself. It's barely easy to be neutral about yourself too. But the thing is, something that I saw on the internet and that I explained in therapy also was like, you have to stop thinking about yourself, period. Maybe not period, but like you have to stop thinking about yourself. And then I told that to my therapist about like this thing that I saw on TikTok saying that. And my therapist was like, how about you add, you have to stop thinking about yourself from the perspective of other people. And I was like, whoa. Let me write this down. Oh, let me write this down. That was a big like, whoa. Because it's true. You have to stop thinking about yourself from the perspective of other people. Because, again, you don't control that. And I think there was this part of me that wanted to control so much. Control my sexuality. Control how other people viewed me. Control, like, whatever. It's you know, it's a waste of time trying to control all of that. There's a way you can present yourself. Yes. But if it's in the hopes of like, I need people to think this way about me, then it's like you're not being authentic to yourself. The way to be authentic to yourself is just like you just show up. I mean, maybe that sounds easy, maybe that sounds like whatever, but like you just show up and you do it. And you let people believe whatever they want to believe, even if it's not right. And even if, you know, their perception of you isn't correct. So flash forward to now. I guess in the body aspect and like the physical aspect of it, I went through a breakup and it caused me to like change the way that I dress, change the way that I managed myself, change how I kind of carried myself, a lot of different things. And then eventually I found more of my style. It's still a work in progress, but like I found more of my style. I started to do a lot more of like self-care. I was taking care of like the physical aspect. I started going to the gym. That's a big thing. Going to the gym. I 2025 I was like, this is going to be the year where I grow from, where I finally shed all of that weight from being bullied as a kid, from having all these complexes that I developed as a kid. I'm finally going to shed all of this. I'm too old for this shit. Like I'm going to shed it like a crab, like molting, or like, is that what that's what's called, like molting? When they like shed all their little like nasty like crab shells and like you grow into like a harder shell. Like that's what I wanted to do. And then I was talking to my best friend in LA about like, oh, I'm exercising in like my room at like the house that I was renting at the time. He's like, oh, you exercise? Do you go to the gym? Well, let's go to the gym. Like I'll take you to the gym. Like you can be my guest on like my guest pass. Like we'll go to the gym together. So we started going to the gym together. Big ass gym. I had no idea what I was doing, and just being there with somebody helped me get the hang of it. So eventually, where when I moved back home, I was with another one of my close friends. We were going to the gym together, and then it kind of got to a point where I couldn't, because I was only able to go to the gym because of him, because he had like a pass. So I was like, I can't wait on another person. I have to do this myself. So got my own gym pass, started going to the gym by myself, just implementing what I learned from my friends. And it's been very like on and off, but I've been going to the gym since like for about like a year now, like over a year, but like consistently, semi-consistently, since I moved back home and like I was able to like start going by myself. I started developing like my own routine. It's still, all of this is still like a work in progress though, like don't get me wrong. I'm not like a total like perfect, like I have everything like down to a T and I'm counting my calories or whatever, like but just again going back to showing myself that I could do that, things I did that, showing myself that I can do that. I have done it and I'll do it again. And like that to me, like I'd always wanted to go to the gym and start like, not bodybuilding I guess, but like focusing on like my health more within like working out outside of like high school. And I finally gained the confidence to do that because I was able to slowly introduce myself into doing that with my friends. And sometimes that's what you need. Again, exposure therapy. Go out and do something, even if it's baby steps, even if it's small little things. Showing yourself that you can do it, you'll do it again. You'll do it even more. You'll do it even better and to a further extent. So, yeah, that grew my confidence a lot. And like the more that I like started to like show results, and like the more that I'm like, like getting muscle and like getting more toned and everything, that helped like the physical aspect of it too. And it was good. Another thing that I did to grow my confidence, I buzzed my head. I have always been known for my curly hair, or like long, crazy, like whether it was curly or like whatever, like long, crazy hair. And I buzzed my head for a couple reasons. My hairstylist was low-key fucking it up. Like, I'm so sorry, girl. It was like, I just didn't want to continue a bad haircut, so I just had to go like full send it, like full like restart. But also because of like going to the gym a little bit, it kind of developed a new complex of like I was putting a lot of my self-worth was being dependent on how I looked, and that was becoming a negative part of myself. So I was like, if I'm known for my hair, and if my hair is kind of like the safety net for me to be like, I'm confident because of my hair, what happens when I remove that? And what happens when I start clean slate and I'm like, I take that away, that like safety net away from me? Because I do honestly think my hair like adds to like my physical appearance, but buzzing my head and starting a retail job, having freshly buzzed my head, I had no time to worry about what other people thought I looked like. What's your email? Give me your phone number. Do you have an account with us? Like, I have to go run go backs. Like, I don't have any time to be embarrassed about what my hair looks like. Like, of course, I still like took care of myself. Still like did my skincare, did like my little routines and like everything. But like, now that my hair was shaved and like I didn't have to worry about that, I was like, well, this is what I look like right now. That was a big like confidence boost, cause to be like, yeah, I'm just like, accepting what I look like. I used to hate how my side profile would look, because I got a side profile check. I have a very soft jawline. At least on this side, it's more. My face is uneven, so on this side it's more of a harder jawline. On this one, it's a little bit softer. But my nose is just like big. Like I have a big Mexican nose, and I used to hate that. And I used to wear glasses back in the day when I was a teenager and like younger. Again, like I stopped wearing glasses around junior year, because I kind of also felt like my glasses were like a safety net for me, like where I could hide my nose behind, glasses. And going full like no glasses helped me just embrace like my features. And also my features, like my nose and like definitely like my smile and like this part of my face comes from my mom's side, from my tata. And if you watch the short film, I love my tata. Go click wherever to go watch the short film, or in the description, or wherever the cards might be. To kind of feel like I hated these like features on me because they weren't like Eurocentric, or I don't know. That's a whole other thing we don't have to get into. Was like comparing myself to white people. I'm not even gonna touch on that right now. Maybe that's for another episode. But like hating on my physical appearance because I inherited the physical aspects of somebody who I loved so much when he was here. Like thinking that I hated on a part of like my physical appearance of what like my ancestors had like passed down to me, that kind of like broke my heart. So it's just like, I love my big nose. I love like my smile. There's a picture of my tata smiling, and it genuinely looks like my smile. Like there's a very like big similarity to that. So it's just like, that's history. That's something so beautiful. Why would I ever want to take that away? And there are times where I still am a little bit insecure about it, because like I feel like my jawline could be like a little like stronger, like whatever. But it's like, again, that is me. That's on my face. That's part of who I am. Deal with it. Like, and sometimes I will say, however, sometimes I get compared to people where they're like, oh my God, Noah, this person looks like you. And it's just a dude with a big ass nose and a soft jawline. I'm like, that is like, what? Like, it could be somebody from an entirely different race. And they're like, they look like you. It's because big ass nose and soft jawline. But I love my big Mexican nose, so don't play. But the mental aspect of confidence, because it can't just be all exterior. The mental part of confidence is supposed to be, you have to feel right with yourself. You're not always going to feel right with yourself. That's the thing. There's no one way of like, I don't know. There's just not one way to be confident. I still do struggle with my confidence. But on this journey that I've been through, I've taken every experience and pushed myself to go further. So like the job, like having to present myself, like boom, like what now? Like you can't hide behind anything. Like you're going to be presented with people. So there's no hiding behind anything. Mentally, I grew confidence within myself because I developed this belief that everything works out for me in the end, because it does. I'm not 100% sold on everything happens for a reason, because I think there's some things that like you get into, like it gets into messy territory. But I think like I'm more so in the belief that everything has a way of working out. Whether so that kind of not excuses, but that kind of like helps ease like shitty things that happen to you, because it's like somebody could be like, everything happens for a reason. Well, why did this shitty thing happen to me? I don't find any reason behind that. But for like everything works out in the end, it's more so like, yeah, this shitty thing happened, but down the line it taught me something, and look at where it's opening me, like opening this path for me now. So hadn't I gone through that, I wouldn't have had that knowledge and that experience, and then I wouldn't have had this opportunity had I not had that experience from beforehand, from this shitty experience, you know? So I mean, maybe that's like the same thing. Maybe it's like whatever, like Noah, that's just the same sentence, different font or whatever. But I don't know. To me, everything works out in the end, whether that's like long term or whether it's gonna have like a quick turnaround time. Everything works out in the end. And like sometimes I would stress about certain things, and it's also not out of lack of trying. Like you do have to care, you do have to try, you do have to care, you'd have to put effort. But at the end, if something doesn't work out, redirection. You know, maybe this opens you up for something else. I remember I tried submitting my film to different film festivals. It only got into one, but I remember posting about it online, and one of my friends kind of like was just hyping me back up, and I was like, man, like I've gotten denied from like, or rejected from like every film festival except for one. And then my friend was just like, redirection babes, like, and like, yeah, it kind of redirected me into releasing it online and just being like, you know what, fuck it, I'm tired of sitting on it. It's just gonna be out there for everybody to see, and now people can see what I can do. So it's just like this belief in yourself that things will work out, because they will, you know. And it may be hard, but like I feel like that was a big boost to my confidence of just like, yeah, this thing didn't work out, but I have this positive mindset to fall back on that helps me. And I feel like that's helped a lot. Yeah, I guess to kind of sort of wrap things up, I'm not perfect. I still do struggle with my confidence, but it's more so in the sense of like, sometimes I get insecure about the way that I walk, or I do get insecure that people are viewing me a certain way. But again, you have to just be unapologetically yourself. As long as you're not doing any harm, causing anything, do no harm, but take no shit. That is another thing that I've kind of adopted almost. But from everything from this arc of like getting bullied, feeling like I was othered for just being myself, and now like I guess kind of going online, like posting online also was kind of helped, because I see like my video Never Let Them Crush Your Latino Soul, like my TikTok, that kind of got me like a little bit of a following. Yeah, I'm gonna be the talk of the town, but whatever, you know, I don't give a fuck. Never let them crush your Latino soul, huh? And I will never let them crush my Latino soul. So go ahead, laugh. I don't care. Make your little jokes. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna continue being myself. Thank you. Who knew that me just rambling and like being myself would resonate with a lot of people, and maybe hopefully this is something that resonates with people. But again, it's just like, just be unapologetically yourself. Do no harm, but take no shit. Meaning like, don't hurt other people. Just continue to be yourself. But if somebody tries to come at you, don't take it, you know? Or like, not trying to say like start fights or anything, or like be confrontational or like whatever, but like show them that you think that you're gonna try to crush me. Again, never let them crush your Latino soul. Never let them crush your soul, period. Like take no shit. Never let them crush your soul. And it's, again, easier said than done, but sometimes when I'm in a low point, I rethink back to that video and that mindset that I had that night, just to spew that out. And maybe someday I'll talk about the origin of how I came to be with that video and like where that kind of came from inside of me. But for now, this is already a lot for this first episode. And but yeah, just, you have to continue to show up. You have to show up. And even something that my late track coach, God bless his heart, would say was like, even you just show up, and even if you're 1% better every day, that's all that matters. Something along those lines. I'm kind of paraphrasing him, but you show up every day. You do something that maybe you're uncomfortable to do, because that's another thing. you have to think about is, I'm going to try to wrap it up soon. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm just rambling, but how uncomfortable you feel being unsatisfied with yourself, does that outweigh how uncomfortable you might feel putting yourself out there and doing something out of your comfort zone? Would you rather sit with your misery, sit with your uncomfortability, either being I want to speak out more, I want to talk more, I want to go to the gym, I want to do whatever, like, are you comfortable enough, or does the uncomfortability of that kind of like misery in a sense, does that outweigh the uncomfortability of putting yourself out there and just doing it? Like, for the gym example, does me being unsatisfied with my body and like my physical appearance or whatever, does that dissatisfaction outweigh the uncomfort it might take for me to go out and go to the gym and like put myself out there and like maybe make a mistake or two but still learn from it? So you have to think about that. Are you okay with staying stagnant, or are you okay with pushing yourself and putting yourself out there? So continue to show up. My advice for people seeking their confidence: continue to show up. Be unapologetically yourself. Never let them crush your soul. For me, going kind of to make it circle back all the way to the beginning about kind of talking about the paper that I made, that I wrote for my developmental psychology class in college, was, can people who grew up bullied or experienced bullying in childhood, can they heal from that? And I think yes, as long as you show up and you are even 1% better than where you were than you were before. It's 1% more than where you were before. Like, it's kind of like every dollar counts, like every cent counts. You may think like, oh, I'm not gonna do this because it doesn't matter. But think about that in terms of like money. Like, oh, I'm not gonna save these 3 cents or like these 3 dimes because we don't have pennies anymore. But I'm not gonna save these like 3 dimes because like they're useless. Like, what am I gonna use them for? Well, those 3 dimes might have put you over the edge of like your goal. It had saved onto them. So it's just like, no, I'm not gonna do this today because like, what's the point? Well, maybe if you went out and did whatever it was today, you would have had some sort of new experience or gained some sort of new knowledge. And if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have had that knowledge, and it would have taken you further, or taken you a little bit longer to reach that. Does that make sense? I don't know if that really makes sense. I guess I'm kind of rambling, but yeah, I think that's enough of me rambling and just saying shit. So hopefully this resonates with some people. I really hope it does. If you were a victim of bullying when you were younger, just know it gets better. And I think that's why I love getting older, is because I feel so much more secure in myself. Because everything, the older I get, the more complicated life becomes, like with having to pay eventually like rent or like groceries and like having adult money and everything, and having a job and everything, or like whatever. But like the more clarity I gain within myself. So it's like, yes, life becomes more complicated as you grow up, but it also, I feel, for me at least, in my experiences, has become easier because I don't have to worry about all of the shit that I used to worry about when I was a teenager, because I've grown that confidence of being like, yeah, so what? People think I'm whatever, let them. I'm gonna continue being myself. But you have to work. You have to get up and do the work. It's not just gonna magically fall into your lap, let me tell you that. But yeah, so it gets better, believe me. And I think I've taken up enough of your time. Thanks for watching. Please go watch my short film, The Creations. You can watch it right here. And the shirt that I'm wearing is from Elfin HQ on Instagram and TikTok. They're really cool, Latino-owned brand. Please go support them. And my TikTok and social medias and all that stuff will be in the description. Go follow me. And yeah, that was the first installment of Noah's Arcs. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.